I don't review with my mouth. He who reviews with his mouth has forgotten the face of his father. I review with my heart. This is the Dark Tower Review. The Dark Tower is directed by Nicolas Jarcel, who has done a lot of small dramatic work in his past. It also stars Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey, and Tom Taylor. This is adapted from the beloved Stephen King novel of the same name. It follows the Gunslinger, played by Idris Elba, who is trying to stop the Man in Black, played by Matthew McConaughey, from destroying the Dark Tower, which could unleash all evil upon the universe. The story in the series of novels is kind of a cool mix of genres. It combines Western, horror, science fiction, and fantasy all together, and it really does a good job of kind of balancing all those out. It also takes elements from other Stephen King stories like The Shining, The Stand, It, and a few others, and kind of adds little Easter eggs in there. So it's kind of a fun thing for readers of Stephen King to get into. This film has had some troubles in the past, though. It's been through multiple directors, multiple rewrites of scripts. It's even had options for TV, which never really quite panned out. It seemed like in probably a 10-year span, this movie was like never going to get made. Ron Howard was even director at one point in the film, before going to producer and Arcel coming in to finish the project. I'm really surprised I like this film. Although it has some faults, I actually left enjoying it. One thing I like greatly about the film is the actors that were cast. Thing about all these three guys, you got Tom Taylor, who's the child Jake, who has these psychic powers. You have Idris Elba as the gunslinger, and then you have Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black. They all emote in some way or another that is believable. You believe that Idris Elba has kind of lost his way and is on a path to vengeance, to the Man in Black. You believe the Man in Black is just this sick guy who doesn't feel and is like pure darkness. And then you believe that Tom Taylor's character, Jake, is a kid growing up. He's like trying to tell people these visions that he's seeing. Nobody believes him. And then he finally turns out he's correct about everything he's been drawing and dreaming about. And without that, it wouldn't have been the movie it was. Now, one of the things that I thought was going to be a bad thing ended up being a good thing. The runtime of the film was an hour and a half long. And you think with an hour and a half long, how can you tell this broad of a story? Well, you can't. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to tell this broad of a story. You're not going to be able to tell that broad of a story of the Dark Tower in a 2.5, 3-hour movie. It just isn't going to work. So what did they have to do? The writers had to streamline it. And they had to focus on the main story arc and the main characters, cutting out a few characters because it would be too muddled. It wouldn't have the right direction. It would start confusing people. And that's just what you have to do with film sometimes. You have to cut things, move some things aside to get your main story across. And I think they did that well. Alright, so for the dirty of this film, the story is just not fleshed out enough. It's not written full enough to really be able to appreciate all the side characters and everything. And the runtime being an hour and 35 minutes long, there's not really much you can do with that. There's so much going on in the novels that you would almost need to have a 10-episode series that deals with each book just to get into those characters and situations and environments. It just doesn't do a good enough job. It serves its purpose for general audiences, I think, who don't read the novels. I think it definitely serves its purpose, and it's a fun movie to go see. But it just doesn't deliver on what that experience is that the books deliver. So overall, The Dark Tower is wonderfully acted, and they bring a lot to the script that's just not really quite there, uh, while still delivering a film that's for general audiences I think will really like. People of the novels, you might not like it quite as much. But you have to understand also that it's a movie with a short run time, and they tried to get a lot of the main elements in there as much as possible to deliver a story that works for film. TV is much different. I'd love to see a TV show in the future. But if we can't have that, at least we have this. And maybe that'll spark a visionary director into making something new and cool. So I overall like this movie, and I hope you do too. Hey guys, well thanks for coming. I really hope you enjoyed my review of The Dark Tower, and tune in a little bit later. I'm going to have the Detroit review up. That looks really great, and I'm so excited to see it. I get to see it tomorrow night, so I'll have that up hopefully by Saturday for you guys. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe down below and get updated to what's new in the land of film.